In today's video, we're going to be removing and testing our starter. We're doing that in an attempt to diagnose the excessive crank issue the truck has had for some time. So, what you'll need to get this job done: a 20-inch extension arm, your 3/8 ratchet with a 14mm, my mini ratchet with a 12mm. You'll need a screwdriver of some sort, spare 12-volt battery, and some jumper cables. Let's get started. Okay, so from the top of the engine bay, we have where we can see our starter solenoid right here, and the starter is below that, kind of a big boy down there. There's 2 bolts securing this thing. One we can see, yeah, right down there. Let me get a flashlight, see if I can illuminate that a little bit better for you. And to my amazement, I just found where my little engine mount fell. I've been looking for that for days. Okay, swell. Right down in there. That's the bolt right there. I believe it's a 14mm we have to get off. And we're gonna use an extension arm to hopefully reach it. And I need to grab that stinky little engine mount as well. I do have a little magnet picker upper. There's our other starter bolts, which you can access a lot more clearly from down under. Check it. 20 inches. See if this is long enough. I think with this you can actually reach the distributor bolts as well. Yep. We've got it. Alright, there you can see it latched on, and that goes all the way back here. Okay, so it took a lot of convincing, but yeah, this one's coming off. Alright. Let's try and get the other one. The problem here is there's not a lot of operating space. Threw myself through my shoulder into the truck while it cracked. Ah, that hurt, but cracked it for sure. Cracked the bolt and cracked my back. Alright. Yes. So that pupper is totally loose now. That one there. We will need to disconnect whatever wires are still connected to the solenoid. No. So this is a 12. Okay. Probably should have done this in reverse order. That is troubling. Ow! Ow! Yay! Got the little nut out. Definitely recommend you remove the solenoid nuts before the starter bolts. This is going to be interesting getting that off. Sorry about that. Okay, so there was this little clip here that was in there. Just pulled that off. Now I can take that out and it'll come out. Yeah! Now we can test it and see if it works. I'm just gonna clean it off a little bit because it's pretty dirty. There's a ton of brown soot on this thing. I mean, from just examining it finally outside of the truck, like, everything looks okay. we will grab our jumper cables and our spare 12-volt battery, and we'll test the starter and see if it's operating properly. Okay, so red positive, black negative, connect that to 12-volt battery. Then we need to connect the other side to the starter solenoid. Basically, once we get jumper cables connected to this, we have to make the bridge, and we have to touch this source right here, that ignition 12-volt and the constant 12-volt here. So we have to be able to touch the two together. Get a good ground there. Okay, that's better. We should have power now. Once we bridge that gap there, we'll want to look at our gear inside the starter and see if it, number one, extends out and then also starts spinning. The gear definitely shot out, so that would indicate that the solenoid is operating correctly. However, I didn't hold the power long enough to see if the gear would actually start turning or not, so let's try that one more time. Also, it was kind of awkward to make the connection, so I used my pliers and then met those two together and then touched the ignition 12-volt area. That seemed to do the trick. It seemed to appear that the starter is fine. The gear is pushing out and it's spinning. So the next thing I want to do is kind of just clean up where it gets its ground, right, from the truck. Clean up those connections, make sure that's not the problem. Clean up the positive connections with the 12 volts. Clean those up, make sure they're not an issue. And then we'll also take a look at the wiring within inside of the truck and see how that's looking. I'll also do my best to try and clean the points in which the starter touches the truck and gets its ground. Hello. Okay, my friends, that is spankin' shiny, so it cannot be a bad ground. So both of our connections have now been cleaned, shining. Time for a snack break, water break, and just have a sit. This tool chest I installed a while back has been pretty useful, multifaceted, good for storage and also just having to sit. I'll check back in after my snack. It's not as shiny as the day it left the factory, but it's a lot cleaner than it was a day ago. So, should be making really good ground connection now. I'm gonna put this back in the truck and see if anything we did today made a difference. Our other bolt and our nut. And our extension arm as well. So I think my plan of attack here is going to be securing the bottom bolt in first, and that will kind of hold the starter in place, and then I can reattach everything else. So we've got to put this little clip here in front of the bolt. So yeah, we got that piece secured. That That's gonna be finger tight until we get this all perfectly lined up where we want it. Aha, here we go. So, really this is the only way to get it back in. Just gonna put it back in our extension and steer it all the way back in. Okay, I think we got it. Now we're going to need to reconnect that nut up there. The circle ring around the next post, so we just have to tighten the nut around that and that should be good. Alright, again, it is hard to see it, but it's on there, right? I may have to review this footage and see if I agree. Alright, so I got it, the nut back secured. I put this stupid nipple thing back on. I mean, it's good to have it. It should help with keeping a corrosion at bay or whatever, so that's a done job. Okay, here's what I'm going to do though. I'm going to try turning the truck on. In addition, I'm going to be fluttering the gas pedal, seeing if we need to start looking at the fuel system and look at the carburetor and such. That was how to remove the starter and test it. It seems like it's fine, so. Alright, well, if you guys enjoyed this video, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.